let's talk about prescription Tret.
Yes.
And the difference between that and the retinol that you prefer.
Yeah. So I love prescription Tret. I would say if you have access to it, I think it's a lot cheaper than our retinol cream. So I would say don't buy our retinol cream. Just go get a prescription.
There's that integrity.
Yeah, go get that prescription Tret. And at the end of the day, I think the simple thing is that it's not about how much you use. It's about how diligent you are. For example, a lot of data has shown that if you use the right concentration of prescription Tret, and if you do it like twice a week, consistently over time, you're going to yield better results than trying to use something super strong and using it every single day. And then, again, getting the flaking and getting the irritation and having to stop.
Yeah.
So there's something to take note of. Sometimes less is really more. So it's up to you to figure out how long to use it for. But for me, prescription Tret is like the gold standard. Then if you don't have access to something prescription, I would go for retinol dehyde, because the way retinoids work, it's quite simple. You have something called retinol palmitate. It has to be converted to retinol, and then retinol dehyde, and then retinoic acid. Retinoic acid is the only form of retinoids that your skin can recognize, which is
and that's Tret,
straight
right?
up Tret. Absolutely. So we use retinol dehyde, which is basically one conversion rate away.
Got it. Okay, so Tret would be number one if somebody can get a prescription.
Yeah.
And then
retinol dehyde. So you can actually get adapalene at I think CVS or Walgreens for like $10 or $15. You can buy it on iHerb.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. You can get anything now online.
Absolutely, which I absolutely love. So I really don't think you need to spend a lot of money on ingredients like that.
Okay, and then let's talk about for anti-aging.
Absolutely.
Because that's the other big concern, right? Breakouts, anti-aging. And unfortunately, you said you're an elder millennial. So am I. I'm 39. Those two things go hand in hand at a certain point. Hormones are changing and the skin is aging. So I know you mentioned growth factors, and those really help to make that skin really juicy, right? Which we love. But what is the ideal routine or the ideal ingredients to incorporate to combat that aging skin?
So for me, with what I know, I think no matter what age group you are, perhaps it's less, if you're a teenager, maybe that's not so important. But at our age group, the most important thing is keeping or maintaining a balanced skin tone, like a really even skin tone. Because at the end of the day, healthy skin is skin that reflects light. And it's not about looking shiny or anything like that. It's not about looking fairer or changing your natural skin color. It's about looking so even that your skin is naturally hydrated, light bounce off of it. So people look at you and they're like, wow, your skin is glowing. Because when you have that, people are not going to be, oh, you have a wrinkle on your forehead or you have a wrinkle on your left eye. They're not going to care. All your perceived imperfections appear less obvious when you have an even skin tone. So I'm all about that. So
like Dr. Idris too. That's her thing, right?
Yeah, she's a dear friend. She's a dear friend of mine.
Buddies.
Yeah. So but it makes so much sense. It totally makes so much sense, and I'm all about that. And so for me, in the morning, depending on what it is, like I said, growth factors I use for stimulating collagen production and reducing fine lines and wrinkles. Growth factors are incredible, but it is not the panacea. I really have to stress that. It is not, for example, so good at brightening the skin tone. It doesn't do that. Or if you have melasma pigmentations, it's not so good at that. But it's really good for fine lines and wrinkles. Then I would do a vitamin C. And then I would look for ingredients like tranexamic, alpha-arbutin. Those help to brighten the skin tone without actually exfoliating the skin. And then at night, I would go in with copper tripeptide. I love copper tripeptide so much because it really helps to reduce inflammation and it helps to brighten the skin tone. So if you pair copper tripeptide with growth factors, you not only get that juicy collagen boosting properties, you also can help brighten that skin tone and also fade like stubborn, dark spots. And the reason why I love copper tripeptide is also it's anti-inflammatory. As we get older, in all honesty, inflammation is the one thing that we really, really want to avoid. Because if you think about it, acne, it's an inflammatory response. Premature aging is also an inflammatory response. Reducing inflammation is the number one most important thing to really take note of. And then retinoids against red. Also, if you are slightly older, you really want to train your skin to like produce less sebum, so you're not quote unquote like oily, because technically I don't think you're oily for your entire stage of your life. Oiliness is usually a sign that you probably are a little bit dehydrated or something's off balance. So I will look into that. And you don't have to use a very expensive oil. You can use, for example, black cumin. You can use rosehip, tamanu oil if you're acne prone. You'll see a big difference.